Welcome to Bryer CD Showcase. I am of course Bryer Sonaros, and it's that time of the month again where I go through every CD that I've purchased, and it's quite a lot. Not as much as March, but still quite a lot. So still gonna take some time to get through it all, but it should be a lot of fun. So hopefully you'll stick around for the whole video. Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, so you don't miss any uploads. Because I like talking about music. As you can see, I have a CD collection behind me, and so I just like showcasing them off, hence the name of the channel. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to start with these two first, because technically I bought these in March, but they didn't show up until April, so they took a while to get here. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about them, just get them out of the way. So the first one I'm going to talk about is by an artist I've been meaning to get more of his albums, but I've always been putting it off. And with his recent passing, I just had to get another album by him. And so I went on Spotify trying to find any album that I'm interested in, and I stumbled upon this album, and I decided this had to be the one. Of course, the artist I'm talking about is Meatloaf, and this is his 1984 album, Bad Attitude. So the Meatloaf's career is kind of an interesting one because everyone always knows Bad Outta Hell, the whole trilogy, but all the albums in between are kind of hit or miss to a lot of people. But when I listened to this album for the first time, I was immediately hooked because it starts off with Bad Attitude, of course the title track, and it's a great song. It's even a duet with him and Roger Daltrey, which is pretty cool. Of course, Roger Daltrey from The Who. Modern Girl is probably the biggest hit on here. Still pretty good. Nowhere Fast is probably my favorite song on here. It's very energetic. It's a lot of fun. And that's really why I can describe this album. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, and all the other songs here is good as well. Piece of the Action, Cheating in Your Dreams, Don't Leave Your Mark on Me. I mean, like I said, it's a fun album. I'm really glad I have more Meatloaf in my collection, and maybe I'll get more down the line, but this is definitely a good one. If you're only familiar with Meatloaf through the Bad Outta Hell trilogy, I think you should check this out. It's definitely a good one to get. So that's the first one that I got. So the second one that I bought in March but didn't come until this month is Aha, Hunting High and Low. So we all know Aha for their big hit, Take On Me, of course. And again, it was a huge hit, and to many people here in the States, many would consider them a one-hit wonder, but that's actually not really true, because they did have minor hits here, but Take On Me is the only one that's endured the most. But yeah, I've listened to the whole album in full, and it's a really good one, and it's just it's just great 80s synth pop, and they do a great job. Of course, the lead singer is great. I love his voice. I'm trying to remember his full name. I think its first name is Morton. I'm just gonna go ahead and look at it real quick. I'm pretty sure it says it. Trying to find it. I am not seeing it. It's kind of... Oh, here it is. Morton Harkett. That's his name. Yeah. Great voice. Yeah, it's a good album. It's a lot of fun. Again, you're not gonna... Most people don't like, synth pop really much, but I always had a good soft spot for it, so glad I got this. This took a long time to come, by the way. I had to wait 6 weeks, and I was getting to the point where I was going to complain, but the second I thought that, it arrived. So luckily we didn't have another prison situation. If you know what I'm talking about, go watch my other CD hauls in the past. Okay, so those are the only two that I purchased in March. So let's go ahead and talk about the actual CDs that I bought in April. So the first one I'm going to talk about is a box set, kind of similar to the Doobie Brothers box set I've shown a few times already. So I think it's made by the same people, and the band in question that I got are the Monkees. Here we come. I'm sorry, I had to do it, but anyway, so the original albums series is usually pretty good. You can get 5 albums at a good price. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go through them real quick. So they all come in these little cardboard sleeves to kind of replicate the vinyl. Pretty good, pretty cool. Of course, it starts off with the debut album, and I guess while we're here, might as well talk about this one as well, because they kind of this very similar. This is during the time when the members really had no musical input at all. They only provided the vocals, and that was it. But regardless, even though they didn't play, there's still some great songs. Because of course, starting with this one has the theme song "I Want to Be Free," Papa Jean's Blues, of course, "Last Train to Clarksville." The one song I don't like really is "Gonna Buy Me a Dog." I get it's supposed to be a silly song, but I don't really. That's kind of a weird song to close the album. But again, I get it's supposed to be fun. And same with this one. There's still some great songs on here. Of course, "She," "When Love Comes Knocking at Your Door," "Mary Mary," "I'm Not Your Stepping Stone." "Sometime in the Morning," I think, is a very underrated song. I love that one. And of course, it ends off with "I'm a Believer." Of course, we all know that one of any generation. Okay, so also has "Headquarters," which this is the first album where the band have more input. They're getting more involved in the studio and they write more. They still have a lot of session musicians, but for the most part, this is really many people consider this their first real album. I thought the C was gonna fall for a sec, but anyway, it's pretty good, very strong. Again, there's good songs on here. Also comes with their fourth album, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Jones Ltd. I will say, very underrated one. I was pretty surprised how much I enjoyed this one. This might actually be my favorite, if I'm going to be honest. Starts with "Salesman," which is a great song. She Hangs Out," "Love Is Only Sleeping," "Cuddly Toy," "What Am I Doing Hanging Round," which is a Mike Nesmith song. And probably the one song that really surprised me the most is called, I'm trying to remember, I believe it's "Daily Nightly," which is a Mike Nesmith song, and oh my god, just what a gorgeous song that sounds. It sounds like something that would be off the prison that he would release later. Yeah, it's really good. Again, very good album here. And then finally it comes with "The Birds, the Bees, and the Monkeys." And in my opinion, this is probably the weakest of the five here. Side one's pretty good. Of course, has "Daydream Believer," probably the most well-known song. But side two kind of loses steam for me. But it's pretty good still. So again, if you're trying to get the Monkeys on CD, and believe me, I've tried in the past, and they're very hard to come by, and they're usually pretty expensive. So this is a good way to get 5 albums at a good price. So that's that box set. Okay, so we're sticking with the 60s for now. So next up, we're gonna go the Mamas and the Papas with their first album, "If You Can Believe Your Eyes and Ears." And by the way, yes, you can see cracks. Believe me, this is not the only casualty in this haul this month. That's the American Postal Service for you. Anyway, so yeah, I was in a Mama and the Papas kick for some reason out of random, and I decided to get this one because most people say this is their best, and I wouldn't argue with that, but though I still want to check out their other albums as well. And just, yeah, what can I say? I mean, the vocal harmonies on this album are just gorgeous, just very good songs. Of course, it has the big hit "California Dreamin'," which is, to me, probably one of the best pop tunes of the 60s. It's very good, and all the other songs are just as good as well. So yeah, Mamas and the Papas, "If You Can Believe Your Eyes and Ears." That's a hard title to remember. So yeah, very good stuff. All right, so this is not going to be the first in this haul, but I think I mentioned them one time on this channel, but there's a channel I'm very much a fan of. Of course, it's called Canadian Studmuffin, and he has a series on his channel where he and his friends Glen, Kellaway from the basement, where they exchange 5 CDs to each other, and after like 2 weeks or so, they come back and they review them and they rank on which one was their favorite. Big fan of that series, and because of that series, it's kind of introduced me to music I wouldn't have gone out and I wouldn't have checked out. And I will say that a lot of the CDs in this haul do come from that series, so it's quite a lot too. So just for fun, I'm just put a counter up there every time there's an album that was influenced by that series. So we can just put two right off the bat, because the first two come from the same band. And talking about the Moody Blues, so I bought The Search of the Lost Chord. I believe 1968 this came out. This is definitely more psychedelic than the last album, because the last album was A Day of Future Past, I think that's called. I'm gonna have to look at it real quick. It's over there, but yeah, I do have it. But that was the only Moody Blues album I had, and so when I saw their exchange, they kept talking about the Moody Blues, and it finally convinced me, like, okay, I should probably check them out. And this was not the first one I bought. This was the second one. But on first listen, it's not as immediate to me personally. There's still some great songs in here. Of course, it has Riding My Seesaw, which is great. Dr. Livingstone, I presume. Legends of a Mind. Voices in the Sky. The Actor, The Word, which goes into Om, which is a great closer. But yeah, I'm very impressed with this one. This might need more listens, if I'm going to be honest, but I really did enjoy this one. So yeah, glad I got this. So the other Moody Blues album I got is called On the Threshold of a Dream, released in 1969, I think. And this was a bit more immediate to me. Like, there's so many good melodies on here. This is definitely a bit more proggy, I'd say. Of course, there's Lovely to See You, Dear Diary, love that one. Send Me No Wine, So Deep Within You, Lazy Day, Are You Sitting Comfortably, and then it goes to the closing, which starts with Have You Heard Part 1, which goes to The Voyage, and ends with Have You Heard Part 2. So yeah, I love that album cover, by the way, so cool. Like, pretty much both these album covers are really cool, like definitely very unique. But yeah, Moody Blues, finally, I'm really glad I'm starting to get into them more, and want to check out more of them in the coming months. So very good stuff. Okay, next up we have more Deep Purple. If you remember in the last haul, I had their first album, Shades of Deep Purple. So that kind of made me want to check out the other two. I'm gonna start with the Book of Taliesin first. This is their second album. I will say, probably not as good as the first one. I kind of put this on, and I was kind of disappointed with it. I mean, there's still some decent songs like Listen, Learn, Read On. Has a good like instrumental with Wiring That Neck. And I did like the cover of We Can Work It Out, but other than that, really nothing else grabbed me. I think there's more covers on this than the last one, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And it's okay, but definitely not as immediate as the first one. So of the Mark 1, this is definitely probably my least favorite. So it's alright. But then they made up for it with this album right here. Of course, this is their self-titled Deep Purple, the third one, and the last one to feature Rod Evans on vocals and Nick Stimper on bass. Sorry about that. Definitely much more immediate than the first one. Starts out with Chasing Shadows, which is a great opening track. Blind. And what's good about this album, there's only one cover. So already good. Already off to a good start. And even the cover is pretty good too. I think the cover was how you say it? Lalina? I think that's how you say it. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. But yeah, really good. I mean, this was the last one to feature Rod Evans, and he went out with a bang, I think. And of course, they would do much better, even better, with Ian Gillan on the next album, in Rock, which is my personal favorite Deep Purple album. But yeah, glad I got this. And one thing I will say is that getting getting the Mark One albums, and actually sitting down and listen to them, I now have a much better appreciation for that lineup. I'll always prefer the Mark II lineup, but I think I have a much bigger respect for the Mark One. So good on them. Okay, and the last one that's in the 60s. This is a band that at first I had no interest in. Not because I hated them. I did like a few of their songs, but I never really had the urge to investigate any of their albums until, again, this exchange again, and they brought this album up. Arthur by the Kinks. Or, if you want the full title, Arthur or the Decline and Fall of the British Empire. Naturally, I just say Arthur for short. But yeah, this is a double CD pack, by the way. So if you open it up, see some artwork, very Monty Python-esque. Of course, has both 2 CDs here and some information and a good booklet as well. Might as well show that off really quick. Here it is. I'm not gonna go too in depth, but it's gonna. Oh yeah, that. But yeah, it gives you information. Pretty cool stuff. Put that back in. But yeah, for a first Kinks album, I was impressed. Like, again, I had no expectations because again, not really that knowledgeable in the Kinks' catalog, but this is definitely a good impression, I'd say. I'm never crazy for their voices, but they sound really good here, and yeah, I quite enjoy this, and I definitely would like to check out more Kinks. I'm probably gonna get Lola next. That's another popular album by them, so I might get that one. So we'll see if I get it next month or sometime in the future. We'll see, but for a first Kinks album, I'm pretty happy. Alright, so now I'm gonna move on to albums from the 70s. Okay, so starting off, we have Elton John. Again, I bought a ton of Elton John albums in last month, so I had to get this one. I'm trying to get all his 70s albums. That's kind of the goal, and I might get a few 80s ones and maybe a couple later ones, but the 70s is kind of my top priority. And of course, we have Hunky Chateau. Don't know if I said it already, but had to get this one. Another very well-known album by him, and again, crack. I hate it, but anyway. But yeah, really good one, classic one. Hunky Cats, Mellow, Rocket Man, of course, the big hit, most well-known song here. And probably my favorite song here is Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters. And I first heard that song and I was like, oh my god, where's this song been in my life? I just love how it sounds. It's just got a great melody. The lyrics are pretty cool as well. But yeah, Hunky Chateau, again, is part of his classic run and had to be in the collection. Next up, Bob Dylan. I decided to go with this one, Slow Train Coming. I've heard good stuff about this album. I believe this is the first in his run of more gospel or more Christian-esque music, because at this point he became a born-again Christian. And we have this one. It's called Slow Train Coming, of course. And I love this. This is really good because, again, I didn't know any of the songs going into it, but yeah, it's very good. Bob sounds great. The music itself, because it has Mark Knopfler on guitar. Probably my favorite song here is Precious Angel. I just love how that one goes. It's very catchy, it's so memorable, and all the other songs in here are memorable as well. So, yeah, Bob Dylan, Slow Train Coming. I recommend checking it out. Really good. Okay, Jethro Tull, Aqualung. It's been a long time coming. Not Slow Train Coming, but regardless, I've been trying to get more Jethro Tull for a while. I only had 2, Thick as a Brick and Passion Play. But I've been trying to get more Jethro Tull, but again, I've been pushing it off because, other interests just comes out of nowhere. So this is Aqualung, of course. Probably their most famous album, I'd say. Often misconception, sorry, the obvious misconception that it's a concept album, and there's a small argument that it is sort of a concept. There's definitely some concepts that are revisited a lot on this album, but regardless, it's still a really good album. It's probably one I probably need to listen to a bit more, because people always hype this one up. So I had high expectation for this one, and I do like it. It's really good. But again, I probably just need to listen to it a few more times to get a good opinion on it. So yeah, pretty good first impression so far. And this isn't like any like fancy edition or anything. It's just like something from the 90s. I'm happy with. I don't need like any Steven Wilson remixes or anything. I'm pretty happy with this. I mean, I might get it. Who knows? Okay, we got more Sparks. Of course, we have Propaganda, the follow-up to Kimono My House. Really, very, really fun album cover with Ron and Russell kind of being held hostage and about to be killed at sea. And in the back, you have them in a car. Fun, very fun stuff. But yeah, I mean, Sparks they're just so unique. I just had to get more of them, because I've just been in this Sparks kick. I think it's because I recently watched the documentary on them on Netflix. It's very cool. I definitely want to really get more into their music, because they just seem like very cool guys. So yeah, Propaganda, really good album. So moving on. Okay, next up, probably an album not many people know of, and that's Gene Clark, and with his solo album No Other. So this was released in 1974. By the way, if you don't know who Gene Clark is, was one of the founding members of the Byrds, and in the 70s he did some solo work, and unfortunately it didn't really do well. It was actually even panned upon first listen, and he kind of went into a depression that he never really got out of, unfortunately. Kind of, led him into a dark period that went on till he died. So it's kind of a sad story, but luckily nowadays it's kind of getting a little bit of resurgence. People are starting to really realize just how great of an album this is, and for good reason. The songs here, by the way, here's the back cover. I mean, the songs here, it starts off like your typical, like, sort of country folk-esque rock. But then as the album progresses, it starts to get more adventurous and more, there's just more, there's more elements to it. Some really cool elements. And it's just a top to bottom. It's just so consistent. It's just so coherent as well. That you just listen to the whole thing and you just kind of want more. You want more of that. So yeah, if you have not stopped to listen to this album, please go give it a listen. Probably my favorite song here is probably the fourth song, Strength of Strings. It's just a gorgeous song. I just love the vocals on it, and I just love how it just builds. It's great. It's fantastic. So Gene Clark, No Other. No Other is correct. All right, so this album kind of got the worst from the Postal Service. It's Joni Mitchell with Court and Spark. And as you can see, look at that. Like, come on, how the fuck they screw this up? Like, let me try to show you a different angle of this, because it's just like, oh my god, like, look. Like, it caves in. Like, it's hard to, I can't really show it very well, but it caves in a little bit. God, it's like, I'm definitely gonna buy some blank CDs to replace a lot of the CDs that were damaged, because that's really gonna annoy me. But regardless, it's still a great album. Like, I don't think there's no bad songs on here at all. Like, it's so good. I've always loved Joni Mitchell. I love her voice. It's just so cool. It's just so beautiful. Yeah, it's just amazing. And this is kind of when she was adding more jazz elements into her sound, which fit perfectly. And musically, it's just outstanding. Yeah, Sport and Spark, very good. One of Joni's best. Awesome. Okay, next up, Steely Dan. They're back again. This time with Pretzel Logic. Their third album. Obviously, I'm trying to get. I'm pretty much trying to get all their albums at this point. They're a band I just need to get, every album of, because they're just musically it's so good. I just love the jazz element. I love the rock element to it as well. It's just a perfect blend. Sorry for the light there. Anyway, Pretzel Logic. Overall thoughts on this? It's very good. Honestly, it's not as immediate as the other albums I've listened to prior. I probably do need to listen to it a bit more to really get a good grasp on it. But regardless, it's still a very strong album. It's one of their classics, and I do not doubt that. And many people put this very high on their list, and I don't doubt it. So yeah, Pretzel Logic. Really enjoy this one. Okay, another artist been putting off getting his albums, but again, people always talk about this one, and of course is David Bowie with Low. I was completely surprised. This is the first time I've listened to the whole album in full. I've heard bits and pieces of it, but never the whole album through. And at first, I was kind of like, okay, I like it, it's pretty good. But as it progressed, I found myself liking it even more and more. And when you get to the more ambient songs on here, then it slowly started to click, like, oh my god, like I actually get it now. So I've only listened to it one time since I got this. This actually came very recently, so I haven't had a chance to listen to it more. But I'm sure the next time I listen to it in full, it's going to be just a wonderful experience. So, David Bowie, Low, give it a listen. See what happens. I don't know what I mean by that. Anyway, okay, we're almost done. Actually, we're actually going through this a lot quicker than I thought, which is plus. Anyway, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more to go. Okay, we're going to go. Jumping way ahead, we're going to 1989 with Kate Bush, The Sensual World, her follow-up to Hounds of Love. I mean, it's Kate Bush. She's one of my favorite female vocalists. I will say, I still love Hounds of Love a little bit better than this one, but that's not taking it away. Still a good album. It's probably an album that, at least for me, it's not as immediate. I always say that because that's usually the first listen is usually pretty important, for me at least. So if an album doesn't click right away, then I'm kind of like, okay, I just need to listen to it again, and that's what I'm getting off here, because Hounds of Love, like the first song, it starts off with Running Up That Hill, which is a great opening track. And The Sensual World is very different from that. So, yeah, I need to listen to it again, but I know people put this as one of her classics. Of course, as This Woman's Work, which is her most famous song, and that was the only song I really knew on here. And that song's amazing. Like, she sings so beautifully on it. But yeah, Kate Bush, Sensual World. Okay, we're in the 90s now. So I get some Ozzy Osbourne. This one and there's a few more coming up that I got these at a thrift store. Me and my brother went to a thrift store recently, and they had a very small section of CDs. It wasn't a whole lot, and there was really only 4 that really caught my eye. And what was also good is that they were only $1, so gotta take advantage of that. But again, I only got 4 from that place. It's alright. But I got Ozzy Osbourne, No More Tears. people usually speak highly of this album. It's pretty good. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it's Ozzy being Ozzy. I mean, what else do you want from an Ozzy album? I only knew 2 songs on here, of course, for the hits, Mama I'm Coming Home and the title track. But yeah, the other songs are really good. I like them. Yeah, it's just Ozzy being Ozzy. What's more to say? Next up, another one from that thrift store. You have Sting, The Soul Cages. And I'm going to be honest, I have not listened to this one yet. I kind of have I don't know, I'm not too crazy of Sting's solo career. I know people love it, and I do like it. I mean, I have Nothing Like the Sun and Mercury Falling, which I enjoy. But the problem is, if I ever want to listen to Sting's voice, then I generally always, like, I'd say 95% of the time, I would reach for The Police. Like I rarely ever go to his solo stuff. Again, I do like his solo stuff. It sounds great. I like the jazz element to it that he brings, because I know Sting was a jazz musician before. But, you know, it's just, I don't know, I never go back to it that often. But, you know, it was only $1, so I decided to get it. Who knows? Maybe I'll be surprised with this one. So if you have any thoughts on any of the albums I've shown, please comment below, just so I can know your opinions on them. All right, so now we're getting to what most people aren't huge fans of. So I'm going to be talking about some black metal again. So if you're not a fan of black metal, use the timestamp below, or you just go to this time and you can just skip this whole part if you're just not that interested in black metal. So here we go. So we have more Dark Throne with Transylvanian Hunger. So this is the third in what's considered in their unholy trinity of black metal, which of course consists of Blaze in the Northern Sky, Under the Funeral Moon, and Transylvanian Hunger. And while it's still, I do enjoy this one. I will say, of the 3, this might be a controversial opinion, but I think this one's my least favorite of the 3. I think Blaze in the Northern Sky is my favorite, but it's still enjoyable. Like, the only problem I have with this is that it's the same drum beat the whole time. At least with the previous 2, it's, at least they mix up the drumming a bit more, but here it's really the same beat the whole time, which it's okay, but it does get monotonous after a while. So if it's really hard for me to listen to this whole album in full. But again, individually, still very good. I mean, it's what you expect from black metal. You know, harsh production, high shrieking vocals, very scary. That's pretty much it. But yeah, again, black metal is not everyone's cup of tea. But if you're ever interested, then won't hurt to try. Okay, and these last 2 come from the thrift store. So I found this one, Enya, A Day Without Rain. So I've known Enya for a long time. Ever since I was young, I've known of her, and I solely got this one solely of the big hit Only Time, which, funny enough, at one point was my favorite song for a time. And the reason why I know the song was because we actually sung, when I graduated from 5th grade, we actually sung a rendition of it. But, you know, it wasn't like the actual song. It was kind of a rewritten version of it, you know, trying to make it more school appropriate. I can't really remember how it goes. Now we clean out our desk, or something, you know, something like that. I don't know. I wish I kept that lyric sheet, but yeah. So I knew nothing else besides this on this album, and I listened to the whole album. Pretty good. It's probably not an album I'll reach out very often. It's very, very orchestral. There's a Celtic feel to this. Of course, Enya's Irish, if you didn't know. But yeah, there's still some pretty good songs. I do like her voice. It's, the music here just sounds like something you'd hear in a film score. That's really the best way I can describe this album. Really, only times like the most commercial sounding song here. Everything else kind of in that film score vein, which is not bad. But yeah, I'm quite happy I got this. Again, won't play this one too often, but yeah, at least I have only time on CD. And then here we have Barry Manilow with Ultimate Manilow. Of course, greatest hits, which is funny because I recently did a whole video talking about greatest hits, and here I go, I got another one. And I got this because, I don't know if I'll ever get any more Barry albums, unless, if you have any recommendations, and you feel free to comment below. But yeah, I've always had a soft spot for Barry. He's kind of cheesy, but it's just good 70s pop music. Big Hit Mandy, of course. I do like that song. That's a really good song. So yeah, I like it. I like Barry. Very good stuff. And I do have one more I do want to show, and I saved it to last, is because this actually just came today, and I have not had a chance to listen to it in full. And of course, this is Mott the Hoople with Mott. Yeah, that's it, just Mott. Again, from the CD Exchange, they brought this album up, and they spoke very highly of. So I decided to go and check it out. And again, haven't listened to it yet, but I did hear the first track. I did have a little bit of time. I listened to at least the first track, and I really dug it. All the way from Memphis. I really dug that first track. If the whole album's like that, I think we have another hit here. So if I love this album, then I'm definitely gonna try and get more about the Hoople. So pray that I enjoy this one. So, and there you have it. That is all the CDs I have collected in the month of April. So of course, in the comments below, comment your thoughts on any of the albums I've shown, and leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. My goal is to try to get at least 100 by the end of the month. Let's see if we can do this. I think we can. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and goodbye for now.